From his flagrant victim blaming of women who were assaulted, to getting mad at his pilot for something she can't change, Andrew Tate's rather questionable ideologies have spread far and wide. Along with his brother Tristan, he's recently been detained on charges of assault, human trafficking, and organizing a gang that captured and exploited women, forcing them to produce explicit material. But it was Andrew's big mouth that got him in more trouble than he could handle. He took to Twitter to take digs at Greta Thunberg, showing off his collection of cars and boasting their carbon emission. Tate asked the young activist to share her email address. Why? So he can send her a complete list of his car collection and their respective carbon emissions. You know what they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. What he forgot to do, though, was clear out the pizza boxes in front of him in his video addressed to her. The very thing that landed him in jail because the police traced his location close to the restaurant.
Thank you. So, I'm actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the...
Oh, and those cars of his? All of them got taken by authorities. Guess Greta had the last laugh, huh? But that's not even scratching the surface of the toxic narrative he spilled. We all know that Tate became well known by sharing his misogynistic views on social media. He's renowned for his controversial takes, which he exploited to gain influence in fans, mostly guys who look up to or idolize him. Like one time, Tate quite publicly wondered how women were allowed to drive, which caused quite an uproar. How are women allowed to drive? I'm not even trying to be sexist. How are they actually allowed to drive? He was called out by lefty Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, who debated Tate and claimed that data didn't support his soggy, stale bread kind of take. People wasted no time in letting him know that his biases and personal anecdotes weren't enough to make insane generalizations about women. But then again, this is a man who looked into the cockpit of a flight he was taking and made a fuss after realizing the captain was a lady. In fact, he took a picture and whined about it, citing the fact that women can't even park cars, so how could the pilot be a woman? Of course, that got him banned. That's right, folks, he thinks women can't drive or park cars, let alone fly an entire plane. But at the end of the day, the female pilot is the one who made sure Andrew landed safely so he could continue spewing his bigotry. But hey, what can you do? Speaking of women, he also believes that they belong to men. Literally. He claims that men are free to be with as many as they want because they're a status symbol. He's been known to roam around with not one, not two, but a whole group of women. He parades them around clubs to let all the other men know who's boss. Apparently, that's currency in Andrew's misogynistic world. This man thinks women are property and can be objectified like that. Somebody needs to get Tate a time machine back to the 1800s. But wait, how is this guy with so many girls at one time? If you're wondering how he'd treat them, let me tell you exactly what he said about his chicks. Once he boasted on a podcast how he kicked a girl out of his apartment. Her crime? She got too drunk and threw up. So he did what any rational man would do. Didn't ask her if she's okay, didn't help to clean up. Instead, kicked her out and threw her stuff out of the window. P.S. You can bet your top hat, there's no equality in this guy's dictionary. That's not all, though. He also believes that victims must carry responsibility for their sexual assault. Boy, oh boy. Now, people were often surprised to learn that Tate would spend most of the year in Romania. The influencer cited a ton of reasons why he's decided to move to Eastern Europe from the United Kingdom. Like, something about the Western world angers him. He doesn't like the way it functions and truly believes it's the most corrupt, disgusting, and degraded society on Earth. Yikes! That's a strong stance for someone of his type. By the way, can someone tell him Romania counts as the West and is in Europe? Maybe he should dip into some of his millions to buy a map. Just saying. But he didn't stop there. He continued his rant by making one of the most jaw-dropping statements of his career. I like living in countries where there's some kind of moral fiber beyond the dollar. And I like living in countries where corruption is accessible to everybody. Excuse me? Accessible corruption? Look, I'm no lawyer, but that, right there, is an admission of guilt. As if that weren't enough, he dug himself into a deeper hole by saying he likes to buy off police and other law enforcement officials. So they let him get away with stuff. Though some of his reasons reflect a sentiment shared by many people on the left and the right, that governments are corrupt and corporate greed controls entire nations, which is fair enough. But being cool with corruption is just unbelievable. Now, Take a deep breath for this next thing he's known to have said. Tate once compared women and children to cats and dogs. He defended this ridiculous idea on a podcast by saying, "You can't be accountable for something that doesn't listen to you." According to him, if a puppy, a child, a woman, or any other creature doesn't obey you, you cannot be held accountable for them. Hold up. Let me wrap my head around this. Tate expects women and animals to obey him and give 100% loyalty. For what? He's known to rely on sexist stereotypes that don't even make sense. The idea that women aren't as capable as men. Also, he'd always back off when podcast hosts cross-questioned him on his views by saying stuff like, "I love women." But women aren't the only group he's tried to put down. Did you know that the guy doesn't believe in mental illnesses? The kickboxer tweeted on September 7, 2017, that depression wasn't a real thing. He responded to his 26,000 followers and fans, saying that if you feel sad, you should just move on, because if you're depressed, that's all you'll ever be. That's Tate logic for you. And just like that, the man cured us all. Live, laugh, love through your pain, folks. He also believes that those who suffer from depression are just lazy and will look for any justification to ignore their responsibilities. To make things worse, he posted this terrible thread only a few days before World Suicide Prevention Day. Oh, and if you're a man and ever have the misfortune of being around Tate and needing CPR, kiss your life goodbye. He's gone on record to say that while he does know how to give CPR, he'll only do it for hot females. But if you're a guy, especially a guy that he sees as fat, he's gonna leave you dying. Isn't that insane? It's worse that he went on to say he doesn't care if a friend of his is having a heart attack, he still wouldn't save them. Tate concluded his rant with some sound medical advice for if you ever get a heart attack. Get up, smoke a cigarette, drink a cup of coffee, and you're good to go to the hospital later. Seems like Dr. Tate is all caught up on the newest techniques to treat cardiac arrest. Just get your head in the game. But are any of you surprised? What's more, he claims to date women between the ages of 18 and 19 so that he can imprint on them. Also, because by going for younger girls, he can know they're fairly inexperienced or haven't dated anyone before. That's straight up predator behavior, and he's not even scared to say it on the internet. In other videos, the British-American kickboxer who'd pose with fast vehicles, pistols, and cigars would boast about beating and choking women, destroying their possessions, and preventing them from leaving the house. It's no wonder he got banned for his views on every major social platform. Anyway, that's all for the crazy things Andrew Tate has actually said.